I'm going to show you how to make a totals query, or in SQL you might call it an aggregate or group by query. So in Access we're going to call it a totals query. Right, so what am I going to do? I'm going to go to Create and Query Design, and I'm selecting my products table and close my dialog box, okay, my show table dialog box. Okay, and what I want to do is let's just select category and product name and price. So I double click on each of these fields to get them to the grid. I click on run, and there I see the category ID, product name and price. But now what I want to do is I want to sort the categories in ascending order, and let's look again at what I've got now. Okay, so now I've got categories. Category 1 is first because I've sorted by that category. Now I want to call that category where the category ID is 1. All those records belong to a group, and that group is category ID 1. But now I've got another group here, and this group is where my category ID has a value of 2, etc. So I want the records to be grouped according to the category ID. And then what I want is for that group, I want the computer to look at the prices and give me the total price, which is an aggregate. Sum is an aggregate. Average, give me the average price as an aggregate. Count, how many records have I got in that category? How many records is in that category? That is my count. It's an aggregate function. Minimum, what is the minimum the minimum price would be 19, I think, and the maximum price would be 909. Okay, now it means that I've got 5 aggregate functions: sum, average, minimum, maximum, and count. Okay, so I want those aggregates to work on a category. Okay, so I want, let's say, the sum of the category 1, and I want the sum of category 2, etc. Now how am I going to do that? I'm going to say, the first thing I want the computer to calculate the aggregates, I've got to click this sum button here. It's called totals, and when I click that button I get an extra row on this query grid. It's called a group by row. Now, so I tell the computer to make my categories into groups. Okay, now I'm going to take out the product name, because when I average the price, I don't care anymore about individual products. I just want to know what is the average price. So I've got my grouping, and after the grouping I've got my aggregate, and I can drop down here by the group by, and then I click on sum, and that will give me the sum of the products per category. For each of my categories I've now got the sum of price, you see. So now I can do the price again, double click, and I get price again. Now for that one I want to say, now I want the average. Okay, so let's run that, and now I get, for every group I get the average price. Okay, for every group I get the average price. Now I'm just going to show you how to format my average price. I'm going to go here to the right hand side in my property sheet. I can click on it and click again to see it. Now it's there, now it's gone, now it's there, now it's gone, now it's there. Wonderful. Okay, so now I'm going to go, give me 2 decimals, 2. Okay, let's run it again. That's very naughty, I didn't get 2 decimals. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say format it to fixed. Format fixed with 2 decimal places, and I'm on my price. And let me just make sure I'm on the price. Yes, I'm on the price. So average, let's run it again, and there we go. Isn't that absolutely wonderful? Now I've got the average prices showing only 2 decimals. Okay, so what I had to do, it's often a problem with averages because it's got to divide. So it's got to sum and then divide. So I go onto the property sheet, and under format I choose fixed, and decimal I choose 2. Now I want to show you how to do the count, which is my next aggregate. So again I'm going to choose the prices, and I'm going to drop down and choose count, and I'm going to double click, and I get price again, and I'm going to drop down and choose minimum, and then I'm going to again double click to get the price again. So, and then I click minimum, and these aggregates are available in this new column that I got. Okay, that column I get from this total query button. So I'm going to run it, and there I get all the different stats per group. I get it for every group, okay, which is absolutely wonderful. So I can change the groupings. So if I wanted to group, for instance, not by category ID, I can take that grouping away, but now I want to maybe group it by supplier ID. So I just drag the supplier ID, drop it here on top of the word price, and now my grouping, can you see my grouping that I want to define is on the leftmost column. So I define my grouping as, I am grouping by supplier ID. So for every supplier, what is the sum of the price? For every supplier, what is the average price, etc. When I run it, my groupings are different. I've got 29 different suppliers. So, but now I can see for every supplier, for that supplier, what is the average price or the count of products. Here, this supplier only gives me 3 products. This one only gives me 4 products, etc. So this is absolutely wonderful. It's a totals query. I need my totals button. If I click it, that row goes, but if I click it again, it appears again. Okay, and property sheet, if I click, the property sheet on the right disappears, but I click again, it appears again, and that I use for formatting. So the secret is the first column must be the grouping, and then that will allow me to select an aggregate, and that is all about group by queries.